Before we commence today's talk
Sebelum
on Islamic eschatology and the implications of Israel's attack on Iran, it has become necessary for me to offer a simple explanation that I am in Indonesia and I'm very happy. I can't tell you how happy I am, but very few people understand and speak English. And so when I speak in English, my assistant has to translate to the Indonesian language so that the audience can understand what I'm saying. When the lecture has been recorded, then a team has to go to work to try to remove the Indonesian and leave only the English. And it is that edited version of the lecture which goes on the internet. And it is not always possible to remove all the translations. So you will hear some background noise and background talking where the team cannot edit it out. So wherever in the world you are listening to these lectures, either you show patience, and if you cannot show patience, then switch off. But don't keep on complaining. Now then, we are attempting to use Islamic eschatology to explain what is happening in the world today. And there are many who appreciate the effort we are making. Whenever we give an opinion, we always explain, you should not accept my opinion unless you are convinced that I am correct. I can make mistakes, and I have made mistakes in the past. So if I was of the view that Pax Judaica will not emerge until after the Great War, and I now see the evidence that Pax Judaica has emerged, I recognize that I made a mistake. And when I make a mistake, I want to be the first to rush to correct myself. It doesn't matter to me what the consequences are. It's called intellectual integrity. So now I hold the view that Pax Judaica has emerged. But I also hold the view that the overwhelming majority of scholars will not accept that. The sky will fall, but they will not accept that. So now I want to say that yes, it is only when the Great War takes place, when the Malhama takes place, when what the Jews and Christians call Armageddon takes place, then after that the evidence will be indisputable that the United States is no longer ruling the world. The evidence will be clear and plain and indisputable in such a way that they cannot deny it, that Pax Judaica has arrived. This is Islamic eschatology. And we have been explaining why there is this shadow with three parts. We don't have to repeat that subject. Indonesia is always quick in thinking. We have given you the definition of a Pax Judaica, meaning Israel would be a ruling state. We have said that this Israel would want the Jews and the world to accept it as the holy state of Israel, of Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam and Nabi Dawood alayhi salam. Nabi Dawood is the prophet David. Nabi Sulaiman is the prophet Solomon. And that holy state established by Nabi Dawood and Nabi Sulaiman alayhim salam was a ruling state in the world. One can see evidence of this in Surah Saba, in the manner in which Sulaiman alayhi salam responded to the kingdom of Saba, which worshipped the sun and which had a woman ruling over it. Because that holy state of Israel was a ruling state in the world, that is why they have to have Pax Judaica. So that this bogus state of Israel can claim to be the holy state of Israel of Solomon and David. I hope you're understanding me now. The holy state of Israel, the ruling state of Israel, was a Khilafah state. And there were only two holy states or Khilafah states established by a prophet of Allah. The first was Holy Israel, and the second was the Khilafah state in Medina. Let me remind Indonesia, the definition of a Khilafah state is that it submits to no authority other than Allah. If Ahmad Sukarno was alive today, I would love to sit with him and explain to him what is a Khilafah state. Because Ahmad Sukarno had this characteristic that he wanted to understand. That's why he called the ulama and he asked the ulama, what is the status of this paper money? Has any other president done that? When the ulama said to him that the paper money would be haram unless and until it is redeemable in gold and redeemable in silver at a fixed rate, then Ahmad Sukarno began the effort to try to restore integrity to money. And then the enemy said, this man must go. Nobody talks about it anymore now that Sukarno is gone. I would have explained to Ahmad Sukarno that a Khilafah state cannot be a part of the United Nations organization. The United Nations organization has placed supreme authority in the world in the Security Council. Once you are a member state of the United Nations, you must submit to the authority of the Security Council.
Yes.
I ask you this morning in Jambar, can a Khilafah state submit to the authority of the Security Council? I ask you this morning in Jambar, will the Imam Al Mahdi submit to the authority of the Security Council? I ask these dum-dums who believe only in the Security Council, when Nabi Isa alayhi salam returns, will he submit to the authority of the Security Council? Where has knowledge gone? The entire Ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is in the United Nations. And you cannot even hear a whisper that we should not be there. I was in New York 25 years ago, and there was an Islamic emirate in Afghanistan, and they had a very articulate and very good man as the ambassador in New York. He was a friend of mine. He's still alive today in Kabul. I send salams to him from Jambar, Dr. Abdul Hakim Mujahid. I enjoyed his company. And I sat down with him and I said to him, tell Kabul that the money you're using, the paper money, is bogus, it's fraudulent, it's haram. And tell Kabul you should stop the effort of trying to get the United Nations to recognize you. It's better for you to be out of the United Nations than in the United Nations. This is the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan,
Ini
25 years ago. And because they got their knowledge of Islam from the Darul Uloom, when Dr. Abdul Hakim Mujahid sent the message to Kabul,
bahwa
the government in Kabul replied and said, "Tell Imran Hosein, we differ with him." And 25 years have passed and we are worse today than we were 25 years ago. You cannot be a Khilafah state and submit to the authority of the United Nations. But Israel is a member state of the United Nations. So now tell me, Indonesia, what's going to happen? If this was a class, I'd stop talking and I want to hear your views, but it's not a class.
kalau gitu.
When Israel is now openly proceeding with the project of Pax Judaica,
Dan
and Israel cannot be Pax Judaica while submitting to the Security Council, and Israel is a member of the United Nations, then this is my view. When I give my view, you don't have to accept it. I can make a mistake. Don't crucify me. Tell the snipers, give me a break. I anticipate that tomorrow there'll be no more United Nations organization. This is not political science. This is not Nostradamus. This is Islamic eschatology, using the Qur'an and the Sunnah to explain reality today and to anticipate tomorrow. When the United Nations organization was established with the Charter, it did two very important things. Number one, it made sure that every single state which is a member state of the United Nations must submit to the supreme authority of the Security Council. So you cannot be a Khilafah state if you are a member state of the United Nations. We have already explained that. What is the second thing? The second thing that emerged from the Charter is the inviolability of territorial frontiers.
inviolability.
That you cannot change your frontier, your boundaries. And this is why the Western world is remaining so hostile to Russia, refusing to accept that Crimea could now be a part of Russia, refusing to accept that the Russian-speaking part of Ukraine, which has voted to be a part of Russia, can be accepted. Because the new Bible of the United Nations says that borders cannot change, not with a referendum and not by war. And Israel is a member state of the United Nations. But the Torah says that the Holy Land, in the Qur'an it is referred to as Al-Ardul Muqaddasa, the Holy Land. This is Surah Al-Ma'idah. The Torah says that the Holy Land extends from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. And so no Jew will accept this is Pax Judaica and will not accept this is the Messiah unless Israel has control over this territory. This includes not only part of Egypt, the whole of Syria, the whole of Jordan, part of Saudi Arabia, and Iraq. So now then, how is Israel going to proceed We saw the effort commencing at the time when Israel came into being in 1948. And the United Nations Security Council, responding to the war in 1967, that Israel is in illegal occupation of the west bank of the Jordan River, including Jerusalem. That Israel is in illegal occupation of the Golan Heights in Syria. And Israel has disregarded the United Nations. Then we saw at the end of the in 1990, I believe, I was in New York, the United States set a trap for Saddam Hussein. And Israel and the United States succeeded in destroying Iraq. Iraq was considered to be the leading power of the Arab world. Now Iraq is under American military occupation. They can't get the Americans out. They didn't have to do anything with Jordan because the ruling party in Jordan are puppy dogs of the West. An eminent Sufi sheikh, may Allah have mercy on his soul, and he did not understand that. So then they had to get rid of Libya, and they did it with the Arab Spring. And then they had to subdue Syria, and they used their puppy dogs to wage a bogus jihad, to remove the government of Syria. Listen to me and stop your sniping. The government of Syria was resisting Israel. The government of Syria had a defense treaty with Russia. Syria could not be under Israeli control so long as that government was there. But then Israel used their puppy dogs to remove that government. And today Syria is in submission to Israel. Stop your sniping. This is the truth. You should be ashamed of yourself for rejecting the truth. Go your way and leave us alone with your Assad this and Assad that, and Putin this and Putin that. Today, Syria is under Israeli control, and the Israeli aircraft was able to fly through Syria and Iraq to attack Iran. They could not have done that if Assad was still there. So stop your sniping and go your way. You've lost all credibility. If Assad is a dictator and he's oppressing you and you want to remove him, then this is the wrong way to take Israel help to remove Assad. You should be ashamed of taking the help of the Israeli Mossad and the CIA to remove Assad. So be quiet. Shut up. We don't want to hear you. Now then, Israel is expanding her territory in order to fulfill the Torah, which says that the frontiers of Israel are from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. So we can now anticipate that if the American bombing the nuclear plants underground in Iran and in the mountains, and there is no evidence that the plants have been destroyed, that American troops are going to land in Iran, that Israeli troops are going to land in Iran, and Pakistan will look like a donkey. At a time when American troops and Israeli troops are landing in Iran, Pakistan, which has a PhD in stupidity, is nominating Trump for Nobel Prize. They set a trap for Pakistan. Pakistan walked into the trap. We know that the Israeli armed forces are going to occupy Syria. And they will be in military occupation of Syria at the time when Nabi Isa alayhi salam returns. How do we know that? The answer is our Prophet said, Allah's blessings be upon him, that Nabi Isa alayhi salam will return in a masjid in Damascus. He will ask the Imam to lead the Salat. And after the Salat, he will say, remove the barricades. And he will then come out of the masjid, one solitary man. At that moment, 3 people will be in the same place. Number 1, Imam Al Mahdi is in the masjid. Number 2, the true Messiah is coming out of the masjid. And number 3, the false Messiah, Dajjal, is outside. You need only 2 rupees worth of common sense to know. Don't ask me where is the Hadith. All you need to do is to think that Dajjal will not be alone outside. He'll have the Israeli army with him. It's only simple thinking. So Israel is going to occupy, military occupation of Syria, military occupation of Iraq, perhaps also military occupation of Iran, military occupation of part of Egypt, and military occupation of a territory will send a message to the Jewish people that the territorial frontiers of the state of Israel now encompass the Bible, the Torah.
Yes.
The military occupation of all of these territories will send a message to the Jewish people that the territorial frontiers of the state of Israel now encompass that which is in the Torah. So there can be no United Nations at that time to stop Israel. This is enough for this morning. You're getting a lesson in Islamic political science, the definition and function of a Khilafah state. And I'm giving this lecture most of all for Sheikh Abdul Aziz. Any questions? If you have never asked any question before, we give you priority.
Di peta Greater Israel itu kan menyangkup sebagian wilayah Mesir dan Arab. Lalu bagaimana nasib Arab Saudi? Apakah juga sama seperti Syria dan Irak? Terima kasih.
All I can say is that the territorial frontiers of the Holy Land in the Torah includes part of Saudi Arabia. This might imply an Israeli military occupation of Medina as well. Yeah. But Israel will not have to fight. The Saudi government will put the red carpet. Please come and welcome you. The Saudi government are traitors. Even the Hajj is now taking place on the wrong day. How many scholars of Islam are saying that? Any more questions?
Sheikh, with 8 million Jews from the river to the sea, how can they, and around the army about maybe 200,000 right now, how can Israel expand without the help of the other member of Ya'juj wa Ma'juj? What the function of other member of Ya'juj wa Ma'juj in the West Europe and other part?
The question is, Israel is so small. How can Israel behave the way it is doing when they have a whole 2 billion Muslims in the world. There's an imbalance of power. But he answered this question when he spoke of Gog and Magog. You know he's not a scholar of Islam because no scholar talks about Gog and Magog. Hadith al-Qudsi in Sahih Muslim. And this is what Allah says. I have created creatures of mine, yani Gog and Magog, who are so powerful that none but I can destroy them. Not even Zulkarnain could do it. So Gog and Magog cannot be defeated. Yes, they can withdraw from Vietnam when it was becoming too embarrassing. They can withdraw from apartheid in South Africa when it becomes too embarrassing. But they have no embarrassment in killing the Palestinians like cockroaches in defiance of world opinion. Who are Gog and Magog? The Qur'an tells us that there is a town that Allah destroyed, and He expelled the people of the town, and then placed a ban on them. They could never return to reclaim that town as their own until Gog and Magog are released, and they spread out all over the world. Which town is it? Answer. Go to Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. He will answer you. Is there any town of the Prophet has spoken about which is connected to Gog and Magog? There is only one town in the Hadith connected with Gog and Magog. And there are several Hadiths about that one town. And the town is Jerusalem. Example. Allah will destroy Gog and Magog in Jerusalem. So Allah is saying in the Qur'an that He destroyed Jerusalem. Allah is saying in the Qur'an that He expelled the Jews from Jerusalem. Allah is saying in the Qur'an that He placed a ban on the Jews. They could never return to reclaim Jerusalem as their own. For 2,000 years they could not return to reclaim Jerusalem as their own. But today the Jews are back in Jerusalem. So who brought them back? Answer. Modern Western civilization.
Peradaban.
And so we came to the conclusion that Gog and Magog are those who control power in the Western world. And Gog and Magog are those who control power in Israel.